This is the Misdirected Mark Podcast, a podcast about gaming, game mastering, and entertaining you, our listeners. We are explicit, and you have been warned, and I'd like to thank Mike Willard for letting us use his music on our show. Now let's pick up those mics and get on with this thing.
Oh my God, that was a really rough job.
At least we got the idol out of the interdimensional time lock.
Guys, I think my arm's got an issue.
Isn't that my shtick?
I mean, it kind of is, but it looks like there's no bone in his arm, right?
It's just flopping around.
It is kind of limp.
I mean, it's a good thing we've got some time now. Like, we can get you to the doc and we can get all that straightened out. Like, it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pill for that, right?
That's only good for a few hours.
Well, that's better than nothing, right?
All right. You two make sure Bob's arm can be used for everyday stuff. I need to keep looking into what these artifacts we've been collecting are for. I mean, there's been a wand, a staff, a rod, and now this elongated face piece to go with this chunk of ancient wall that they look like they all fit into. So I'm going to get working on that.
Sounds like a plan. And with that, welcome to the 385th episode of the Misdirected Mark Podcast, where we will be talking about downtime mechanics in the garage. I'm Old Man Logan.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Chris. And let's get into our one thing for the evening, right? Sounds like a good plan. Mm-hmm. So, Bob, tell me about your one thing.
So I am gearing up for the new job. I have accepted a new position at work, and I will be moving out of user support into what is called the study build team, where, long story short, what I will be doing is helping to create electronic documents that people can use to enter data into, and then helping with pulling that data out, manipulating it when necessary, yada, yada, yada. I will be working straight days and no holidays and no weekends and no on-calls and no overnights. All the major negative things about working in user support will be gone. So.
No users. I mean, if there's one advantage, no users.
It's like, how do I get a new account? Well, you go to the login page and there's a new registration link that you click and you fill out a form.
Seems
nobody
overly
reads
complicated.
That. Yeah.
Is it a positive thing?
Yeah.
No users?
Yeah, I don't know.
It is what it is. It's so
it is what it is.
Started talking to my new boss today about, like, you know, what kind of gear I'm gonna have at my desk and what I'm bringing with me from downstairs and what's gonna have to be picked up.
6 monitors. You need 6 monitors.
I'm never gonna get 6 monitors. They'll let me have 2.
Oh.
I'm probably taking the 2 I've already got and taking them upstairs.
So that's like 4 then? Or is it just the 2 you get
just
to take
the 2
with
I
you?
got, yeah.
And it's a good question. How many monitors is enough monitors? Because when I was over at Kevin Menorzak's apartment, the producer for the FM Gamers, he's got 3.
I got a couple of guys in my office. So on average, we have 2 in my office. There are a couple of guys that have like that have 4.
Yeah.
And there's one guy who brought his own 32-inch curve plus 2 monitors.
32-inch curve.
Oh, it's
ginormous.
Glorious.
Yeah, but it's amazing, right?
That's right. Stupid big, yeah.
Yeah.
That is kind of stupid big, isn't it?
It's funny because we have a ton of people at work that have these really big, like 24-inch widescreens, and they're like, "Oh, it's great. It's better to have one big one." And I'm like, "No, I prefer to have 2 monitors so I can distinctly split things up between them."
Wait. You have 2 monitors, and they're not both 24-inch monitors?
No. One of them's actually like a 17, and one's like a 21, I think.
Oh, like I have at work 2 24s, and then at home have 2 24s.
Yeah, I've got twin 19s or twin 19s or 21s at home. But at work, I got what I got.
They're savages at work.
Yeah, I know.
2 24s.
They wanted to give me like a 24-inch wide. That's
yeah,
like
you want
this
one.
wide
You want,
like
you
that.
want, yeah, you want 2 of those.
Like, well,
You want 2?
2 is too big.
No, ridiculous. You put one in front, you put one off to the side a little. Trust me, it totally works.
I want 2 24-inch ones.
Yeah, you
I
do.
don't.
Yeah,
I
you
really
do.
want 2 24-inch ones, and then I want a tall one. So like that's like 32
Like
inches
book-
tall,
like book one?
like book one. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are cool. I
Well,
like
that's
those a
actually
lot.
just the 24 turn sideways.
Is it?
I mean,
They
so
have
you,
some that can do
you
that.
can-
Not the one that Kevin has. The one that Kevin has is like 16 inches across and like 32 inches tall.
So
it's like
so,
a window one. Or
So
like a tall window.
I could if I wanted to. I could take one of my monitors and turn it bookways,
Yeah.
and then have the other one landscape. Mm-hmm. Like that's just a setting.
Oh,
This
okay.
has been another episode of Monitor
You just
Madness.
need a stand that will let you turn the screen 90 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they make those.
That's really cool.
You can tell Windows to do that.
You can. Chris,
And then
what about
that's
you? What's your
documented.
one thing?
Oh, we gotta do mine now.
Before we dive too deep into the
So
monitors.
the FM Gamers was wonderful this week. We recorded last night live on Twitch. We had our 2 cameras set up with two really nice cameras. We're gonna have a third really nice camera pretty soon also.
I don't know if people who are watching the stream have noticed, but like slowly, I don't even want to say slowly, like almost weekly, this rig keeps getting better.
It
like,
does.
The cameras are better. Like we went from the little Logitech camera that we were using to film this,
Yes.
To an actual camcorder that's wired in.
Yeah, JVC camcorder through a mirror box, which is like a video processing unit.
I mean, you've got over, and I don't think people can't see it because it's off camera, but
Yes.
you've got like a whole shitload of gear that's just to the.
So for those, just to go really quickly over it, we have the wireless rig. So we have our 3 wireless microphones, which we're going to be getting rid of that at some point because we're going to go with boom mics from the ceiling that people won't be able to see. We have our 6-channel mixer over here. Well, it's really an 8-channel mixer, but really it's only, I mean, I could split those channels up, but it's really for 6 devices, mics. I got the desktop hooked up to a couple of monitors. We got the Streamlabs OBS running on one, and then we all have our own devices that we're using for our show notes. And that's pretty much the setup. It's not overly complicated, but it's here and it's
It's
cool.
not complicated, but it's. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of.
It's a lot more complex than it was when we started.
Yeah, like
I mean, we're not using webcams anymore. That's why.
we ain't using webcam. I mean, the picture quality's nice. I don't have to duck around a mic.
No, not at all.
Video quality's gone up. Sound quality's gone up.
And we even have this. We even have this chain splitter.
We have a new splitter.
Yep. So now we can all listen to the same feed.
I mean, that's a big deal because,
fancy.
like, even what was it last week when we had Jerry here? We didn't have an easy way to put him on the same feed with us, but now we all do.
Yes, now we all do. It's very useful. Anyways, we had a really wonderful game session last night. I hope that people will tune in and check it out. We had one of the new cameras. We were having some battery issues with it, but it only dropped out a couple of times. But as far as like audio and gameplay goes, it was really quite enjoyable. Hopefully, people enjoyed it. And if they didn't, go check it out. It's on Twitch. All right. So let's see. What is the next thing to talk? Phil, tell me about your one thing.
My one thing this week is all Minecraft. This was like the end of last week was the end of my vacation time. So Thursday was basically the end of my vacation, but it was a 2-day week and then the weekend, so I still kind of took it easy.
Sure.
So I played a shit ton of Minecraft,
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
I am I'm focusing on this one mod pack called Mechanism, and I am working my way up to the pinnacle of that mod pack, which is this fusion reactor, and the amount of bullshit you have to build in order to get to it. Is quite impressive, and I'm having a lot of fun building it out. I have this like giant factory tower like behind my house that is getting bigger and bigger as I build up this whole system to like basically support the reactor. It's a lot of. I mean, it's I'm mining to craft things and then crafting things to mine things.
So you're playing Minecraft.
Yes, but it's a lot of fun, and I kind of like it in that it's all about like creating process flow. Like, am I creating enough reagents and stuff? Like, am I creating enough materials in the right amount of time to be able to sustain this reactor?
Okay.
Like that's the challenge of it. And then architecturally, how do I build all this in like a small space and wire it all together and stuff? So I'm having fun doing it.
So those are all our one things?
Those are our one things.
All right, we have an announcement we wanted to talk about. We've just discovered that Fantasy Flight is undergoing a series of layoffs. Phil, would you please give us whatever information you can?
Yeah, so I saw the beginnings of this, I think either late last night or early this morning, about Fantasy Flight Interactive, which was the digital arm of Fantasy Flight, was being closed down. But now Reddit is starting to report that most, if not all, of the RPG department has also been laid off.
That is tragic.
Yeah, which also means that all the RPG lines are now in jeopardy.
Yes. Like,
Right.
what do they do with Star Wars?
Star Wars, Genesis, all of those. So first of all, we actually know a few of the people who've work at either freelance or permanently work at Fantasy Flight. So one, it sucks when anyone gets laid off.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
it's rough,
so-
right?
That's definitely rough. And again, some of these lines, like Genesis, is a very popular line. Like people like it a lot. It's what is it? It's the system Campaign's using.
Yes, it is the system that powers campaign.
Right. Redemption is using for Star Wars.
Although I imagine that they're going to go away from that. I think James D'Amato is working on his own game system for that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like a lot of people, like there's been a lot of interest invested. These are not.
These are not trivial things.
And they're not lagging brands.
No,
like
I mean-
Genesis and Star Wars are not lagging brands, but looks like Fantasy Flight. It looks like Fantasy Flight is circling the wagons and just honing in on core board game and legacy card. Like what is it? Is it legacy? LC?
Living card
Living
games,
card games and
LCGs.
things like that. And again, I don't want to report too heavily on it because all we're getting right now is stuff from Reddit. So I take stuff from Reddit with a grain of salt. But somebody from Fantasy Flight was on there confirming it. So
That's
I should
that's
say
the thing,
somebody
huh?
who was once on at Fantasy Flight was confirming some of it. So
Now, it should be noted that FFG is owned by Asmodee. Asmodee. So, I mean, I'm sure this is probably a mandate handed down from Asmodee, right? Like,
I mean, this stuff doesn't happen by accident, right? This is the kind of stuff that's planned out corporately.
yeah, they probably looked at like how things were selling and whatnot. We're like, well, this isn't really super profitable, so we should probably dump this part of it and focus our energy in different places. Since we make every board game ever.
It's true. But some of the things that are being talked about in the Reddit thing is that like they just they overstretched. They acquired way too many licensed products all at once. Like they were consuming a lot of license work, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
Okay, well that's that. Well, we'll keep an eye on that and talk about it next week.
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
once we know a little bit more. I think it's time for an ad, don't you?
yeah, let's do it up.
All right. Capers, a superpowered game of gangsters in the roaring 20s. You will play criminals or cops during the Prohibition era, and you have superpowers. Will you build a criminal empire or work to bring bootleggers down? All in one core book with player and GM info. Lots of PDF support materials, adventures, GM screen info, rules, one-sheets, etc.
The deluxe hardcover specs are, it's 164 pages, it's 8.5 by 11 hardcover, Smythe sewn binding, which is sturdy and lays flat on the table. It's a glossy full color interior with richer printing press color, end pages and inside covers printed with useful tables, game info and lore, 2 ribbon bookmarks, not one, 2, and more upgrades with stretch goals.
So this is this is on Kickstarter right now, live. If you're listening live, it's on Kickstarter right now. If you're listening to this when this drops, it's been on for a week. Backer tiers, you can get the deluxe hardcover with all the support PDFs. You can get just the hardcover. So if you already have all the PDFs, you can just get the hardcover because you want to upgrade your book. Or if you're just not into Dead Tree, but you want to get a chance to scoop up just the PDFs, you can do that as well. There's also going to be a Capers enamel pin available as an add-on. We really need to see if we can do network MMP enamel pins.
That'd be great.
That would be.
I would
I
like
mean,
that.
Cool.
I bet those run. I mean, we could.
They're not stupidly expensive. We have the designs.
That's what I'm saying. Like
We have the
should-
technology.
we should look at that.
Hey everybody, if you're a patron or a somebody who regularly listens to the show and you'd like to get in on a some sort of Kickstarter type thing to make some enameled pins that you would like, let us know.
Is Bossman Rob on?
And let Bossman Rob know. If Bossman Rob would give us an email address that he can send him this
Right.
stuff to, and if we have enough interest, we could just do
We
it.
know how to run a Kickstarter.
We do know how to run a Kickstarter.
We do.
We would love to have pins made. And for the stretch goals, they can be pins for other shows.
we get up to a high enough level, we
Yeah.
could unlock other shows.
Yes.
Yep. So send at contact@misdirectedmark.com if that is something that interests you. If we have enough interest, we'll do it. I mean, if it's like 5 people, we're not going to bother. If it's like 50, we'll
Right.
totally
But-
do it.
And to be clear, I don't think this would have to be a very big Kickstarter because
No.
these enamel pin things are really just about getting a certain run amount.
Yeah.
And they're not ridiculous run amounts.
No, they're
Like,
not.
I want to kind of do a little looking on this because I'll be honest, if this was reasonable, I would love a misdirected mark enamel
So
pin.
would I. But we can't just, I mean, it can't just be us buying them, right? Like, we
Yeah,
need,
no.
Yeah.
No, right. But I would say, all right, so here's the thing.
Now
right?
they're on this tangent, so feel free.
If we do it, we structure it so that we also have a special patron pin.
Yes, for patrons.
Right.
There you
like,
go.
You know, like some like you're gonna get the misdirected mark pin when you back it, but we'll design and buy. We'll try to buy enough to have patron pins.
Yeah, especially
so that,
for patrons who have been around for like years.
Yes.
Yeah, but like you would get your patron pin.
Yeah, I mean, even if you haven't been around for years, we would give you a pin that says patron on it, but we'll have some other maybe special one for people who've been patrons for like more than a year.
Here's the design. So it's the misdirected mark logo.
Sure.
And it's the Vig Master arm holding up the misdirected because you support us.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
And then in the crook of the arm, there will be like a badge.
Just as
like
every day.
Well, no, but like a badge thing with like your
No, we can't do individuals.
Not the individuals. Like 10 years or.
It could be tricky.
like that could be harder.
But basically the Vig arm holding up the misdirected mark logo.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I did make one, so
Yeah,
we have the Vig Master arm thing.
I mean, that could also be a stretch goal.
Yeah, it totally could be.
Every day's arm day.
Yeah, I should really just make that a shirt at some
Every
point
day.
too.
Yeah, we
Anyways,
should.
to get back to what we were at before, campers, remember, you can get your Great Gatsby on in the Roaring Twenties being a criminal.
Yes.
Yes. Go to Kickstarter.com. Yeah, good stuff. We need a.
I'm gonna press some buttons.
No,
okay?
not yet. We need
No?
an audio filter, like a thing that you could put on,
The
like
staticky.
yeah,
background?
like give you the 20. I mean, you did a good job of it, but if you had like the 20s radio
I
sound,
can actually do that. I can find that, put it on the soundboard, and play that. It just doesn't work as
no,
well. when
not
you-
play it, but like a filter that goes over your channel. But they don't because we're all together
We are
on
all
one feed.
No, we're not actually. I mean, we are, but
All
so
right,
if
anyway,
I put it on the
right.
soundboard, I could just play it underneath while I talk. and
Right,
then
but I'm thinking
stop
of a
it.
thing that modulates your voice.
Oh
right?
yeah, but
Give
with
you the tinny, like
the tinny voice.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
There are filters that do that.
yeah,
I'm just
no.
gonna figure out how to work it.
we are constantly a product.
There you go. Just drop out the bass.
Yeah.
It'd be like AM radio.
Yeah, I mean, if I just do what if I just do this, then it gets tinnier. It didn't really. No, that's more bass. That's less bass. And then I just do this and turn up the tinniness, and we can do it that way, but it doesn't have the static. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But let's be clear. This show is never about less bass. We are always
Oh, that's
dropping the
funny.
bass.
Always dropping the bass.
Yeah.
Drop the bass like it's hot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm pressing buttons now so we can go to the garage.
Do it.
Okay.
Access granted.
All right, tonight's topic, as many do, came up in a previous episode. We are talking about downtime as a mechanic in games. This has been on my mind a lot lately because I've been running a Scum and Villainy game as well as working on a new game called The Black Corner, and both of those games have downtime mechanics in them. So why don't we just jump right in by asking Phil to tell us how downtime works.
Yep. So downtime's gonna be a pretty loose term, but I want to put just a little bit of fence around it, and I want it to be the working definition that I want to use for tonight is downtime is a set of mechanics that cover what the characters are doing between stories, missions, issues, adventures. So it can't just be like we stopped playing this adventure and then as a GM I'm just doing stuff and then we're going to start playing the other one. It has to be actually part of the game. Like,
Yes.
Like before you play the next adventure, you have to do X, Y, and Z. And it can't be, as another thing to exclude, it is also not like get experience points. Right? Like it's not like getting experience points is not your downtime
No, that's a
mechanics.
reward.
Right, that's your reward system. Okay, so cool. So if we just agree that it's a thing that happens
In a pacing system.
yes. If we agree that downtime is a set of mechanics that covers what happens, what our characters are doing between adventures.
So, do you want me to tell you those things? I can tell you those things.
So you tell me some of the things that that we could be doing.
Well, we can improve our existing skills and abilities. That's the
Sure,
thing we can do.
that is definitely a thing, right?
That way, the next time Bob's arm goes limp, instead of having to find a doctor, we can just do it ourselves.
Yes.
We can acquire new skills and abilities. So if we don't have a medic, then we can, become medics.
That's probably a thing we should learn.
Yeah, probably. We can acquire new resources, equipment or contacts, like blue pills
Or med kit.
or a med kit. We can heal. Bob needs to heal.
Right.
We can build progress towards larger objectives.
Yes. Right. And I think that one is probably one of the more interesting ones.
It is one of the more interesting ones.
Right.
I mean, acquiring new resources is interesting too.
Oh yeah, totally.
Also, like if your game is it has some narrative like oomph to it, like acquiring new skills and abilities is also that.
Can also be a thing.
Which is different from leveling up with experience points. 'Cause it's done through downtime mechanics, which we'll talk about those in a second.
Yeah, because just leveling up is part of your experience.
Yeah. So speaking of that, how does this done usually?
Yeah, so this is often in the form of an action or resource economy.
And this is to make sure that all players can accomplish the same amount of actions in the downtime.
Yeah.
Or at least a similar amount of actions in the downtime.
Exactly. It also avoids spamming the system, right?
Yeah.
Because if we didn't have something to govern what to do in downtime, you might be like, I spend every day working out, so now I have like I have a 900 melee.
Yeah, but you can say, I'm going to spend the downtime unit that I have to work out. I'm like, cool, you get an experience point and your thing that will give you strength.
Exactly.
And when your thing fills up, you'll get more strength.
Exactly. Which will take you X number of downtimes. Or it will take you X number of downtimes spending this many resources per downtime. So it is a leveler.
Cool.
Right.
So do we want to talk about games that use them?
Of course.
Forged in the Dark!
I mean, it's the most obvious. And I think it's one of the more codified ones, right? Tell us about it.
So it has a fixed economy, but it allows the expenditure of credits to gain more downtime. So usually you have 2 units of downtime, and you can use a credit, or you can use 1 unit of wealth
Yes.
to buy another unit of downtime.
It's actually pretty smart, because can't you not only use wealth to buy the downtime, can't you also use wealth to buy up some of the rolls? If you don't like the roll, you can buy like a better
Not
result.
in Scum and Villainy that I noticed. We've never done it for 14 sessions. So.
Okay, I'm trying to remember that in like 1 or 2 of the Blades in the Dark one, I thought there was a way that if you had wealth, you could like either buy up more research. Like there was a way to actually not only get more actions, but you could use your wealth to push some of those actions like a little better. Anyway,
By the way, we're also not talking about that whole different section of Blades in the Dark or Forged in the Dark games, because downtime is a very specific part of that.
it's a chunk, right? It's
Yeah.
not the heat part. It's not the
It's not the reward part. It's not
Yeah.
the encounters part where you what is it? Interludes or it's got different names for different
exactly.
games.
Yep. But it's that section called downtime.
And then each action has rules that are associated with it.
Yeah, depending on what it is, it's each one their own rules chunk.
Phil, you want to tell me about H2O?
Yeah, Hydra Hackers has a downtime. The neighborhood phase.
That's a downtime.
Yeah, because you only engage the neighborhood phase in between stories.
Okay.
So it happens in between stories. It has a set of mechanics to figure out what to do with the neighborhood. So it isn't a downtime specifically for your characters. It's a downtime for your character's environment, although your characters are also involved in that. So as a group, as players, you have to decide how to spend the neighborhood's water resources, because you have a certain amount of water resources to basically bolster the attributes of your neighborhood, otherwise they get worse. And if you have extra water or have saved up water, or more importantly, you have stolen water in one of your other sessions, you can engage in neighborhood projects to actually make the neighborhood better, like unlock moves or either gain positive tags for your neighborhood or remove negative tags for your neighborhood. So that's a thing. That's a thing you do, and then you're ready to play the next story. How about D&D? D&D's got downtime.
It does, and I'm going to talk about the downtime mechanics that are based on Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So not the stuff that was originally in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Because these are a bit of an update on those rules, and I think they're better.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
So downtime, as described, has a cost in days and resources. So those resources, the resources are days, and then usually some sort of money or action that has to be taken.
That makes sense.
With that, there is some sort of ability check or series of ability checks associated with the activity. Then a failed roll results in complications being inserted into the downtime activity. Success just means you spend your stuff and you get what you were trying to acquire. And then using that basic format, that idea, there's a large number of types of downtime activities that can be created to use in the game, from pit fighting to crafting magic items.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now let's take it one step further. With the new Acquisitions Incorporated book, they expanded this to franchise downtime tasks, because in Acquisitions Incorporated you can have hirelings and such.
Oh, cool.
So you can send out people who work for you to undertake downtime activities also.
Go get me reagents.
Yep. Now to limit it so that you can't just spam all your people out there,
Yes.
you can only take a number of downtime activities with your franchise equal to the tier of your franchise, and there's 4 tiers. So at the highest tier you can have 4.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
Cool.
So it's it's kind of like
Your sphere of influence.
It's a lot like quality in Blades in the Dark or crew quality in Scum and Villainy.
Yep,
It functions in a similar way to that. Like,
Yeah.
You're only so good, right?
The better your tier, the more stuff you can do.
Yep. So that's how the D&D stuff works. It's really pretty solid, in my opinion, and very flexible in how it's built.
Absolutely.
You want to tell me about Houses of the Blood?
Houses of the Blooded. I just thought I would do this one because we don't really ever talk about Houses of the Blooded, so I thought it'd be fun. Houses of the Blooded was made that you were only supposed to play one or two stories per season, that world has like the same calendar seasons, right? So winter, spring, summer, fall. So you're only supposed to play like one or two adventures, and then like the next season's supposed to come around.
Sure.
So there's a season mechanic where you go home when you're not out at parties and engaged in all of the stuff that you do in the story part, and you actually tend to your little fiefdom. So you have a fixed you have an action economy that's based on your cunning attribute. So the more shrewd you are, the better you can manage your lands. Also, getting married, your spouse gains you one extra action. So there's there's an advantage in the game to being married. You don't have to be in love, but to be married.
Okay.
And Wick's got a whole sidebar where he talks to you about how to like optimize play for this. And one of the optimizing rules is you should go make an alliance and get married as fast as you can.
That makes sense. Since this game is all about infighting.
Right. So you should get a spouse because spouses give you extra
I mean,
actions.
come on,
Anyway.
let's be realistic. Houses of the Blood is essentially role-playing diplomacy.
Yeah, it's anti-D&D, right? So it's like everything that you wouldn't do in D&D is done in this game.
And that season mechanic is essentially a little mini game.
Oh, it's a mini
You
game
could
because
take that out completely and just play that as
you totally could. So you have an action economy, and then there's a list of actions you can take. And some actions complete within a season. Some actions take multiple seasons to complete, but they involve things like upgrading your troops or cultivating your lands or building a thing or researching a thing, all of those. And so you have to pick every season the things you want to do so that they carry forth and bear fruit for you later.
All right, so let's talk about Mouseguard for a second.
Sure.
Strange enough, Mouseguard feels a lot like Forged in the Dark in its downtime. The idea is the player's turn, and I'm not sure how Burning Wheel works because I never played Burning Wheel, but I played Mouseguard. You get checks, and the checks you can spend to do things. Now, there's some list of things that you can do for like healing and whatnot, but you can also just decide to do a thing narratively. Like, that's narrative currency for you to go off and do stuff.
Cool.
There's a lot of arguments about whether you can like leave the town that you were in for the player's turn to go do something else, and it's you just have to ask, does it make sense for the story? If it doesn't, then you should just go to the local whoever's going to send mail, like by bird or whatever, or by like dragonfly and such, and have that done that way, because it's not always easy to walk from town to town in Mouseguard. In fact, that's usually the content of adventuring, the DM's turn.
Right.
So that's how,
dangerous.
Yeah. So Mouseguard is very similar in a lot of ways to some of the stuff we've already talked about, except for there's a way more narrative beat that you can play with it if you want.
Yeah. Good Society is another one. I actually have not played this game. I asked Senda to explain it to me, so I got a quick.
That's okay. When I talk about Invisible Sin, I've never played it before. Either.
Right. So actually, we had a couple of friends help us out with some of these, and I've already looked in the chat room. They're naming other games that we don't have on our list because we could do a whole night
of just talking about games with downtime.
Of just talking about the games with
Yeah.
and we'll talk about some honorable mentions after this. But in Good Society, your main play is the novel chapter. But after the novel chapter phase ends, your downtime consists of 3 parts. There's a reputation phase, right, where there's some like adjustments to your reputation. Then there's a group activity, which is rumors and scandals.
Sure.
Where you kind of set up rumors and scandals as a group. And then the way that you finish that off is the letter writing phase, which the epistolatory phase, where true to the genre, right? Like, dearest Christopher, like, I hope that your winter season has gone well. Did you hear that, that Robert was seen, wandering around the moors in the middle of the night.
That thing that happens in every Jane Austen novel.
Correct, right? Like, because it's so true to genre. So, like, so you write your letter, and you actually write your letter to one of the other players.
That's cool.
And so what that does is it's not as much mechanical as it is narrative.
Yeah,
right. So it's
creating more foundational narration to build upon.
yeah, exactly. Right. So, and if you've heard Saskia, because I believe they played Good Society, I believe there's an example of the letter, I think, in the AP.
Nice.
I think, if I remember correctly. You want to talk about Visible Sun?
Yeah, and we're going to thank Scott Robinson for this summary because I have never seen these rules. It's called development mode.
Yes.
So this is largely like one-on-one play with a simplified resolution mechanic. In fact, you're going to use the Sooth deck, and the Sooth deck is this deck of circular cards, which has numbers on it, but also art for theme. And if I remember correctly, like you can just interpret the cards. They're like tarot cards in a lot of ways.
So that it's like a lot like Everway.
Yes. Or, you know, how they play with the luminaries on a campaign for those who actually played a game that, or listened to a game that's more recent than Everway.
I
mean,
feel
if you
like
wanna drop
I
20
feel like our
you wanna-
people. I feel like our people know Everway.
You want to drop 25-year-old bombs, that's fine. I'm just going to, you know.
And that's a deep cut, man. that's a deep cut Everway. Raise your hand in the chat room if you know Everway. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so most use this for downtime work like shopping or research or wrapping up RP-intensive tasks, but it can also be used for just about anything if you're okay with that simplified resolution mechanic and ignore most of the character abilities.
Yeah. Now, let me before we jump to the next section, let me name some honorable mentions because already in the chat room, somebody mentioned the One Ring,
Okay.
which I have not played. I don't think you have either, so I didn't put that in there. Pendragon, which is really old school, right? Pendragon had
Pendragon is really old school.
Pendragon had a down whatchamacallit, a downtime mechanic. I'm trying to think let me see if there were any other ones I saw that were in there. Did you see any, Bob?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
That I can call
There were
out
so I put
specifically.
it out on Twitter. There were a whole bunch of suggestions. Which is why I put Invisible Sun and Good Society in, because both of those number of people came back and were like, were commenting on it, like that they very much wanted, like those when I asked, they suggested those.
Yeah. Jared Rasher wondered if we were going to mention the fellowship phase of the One Ring.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The fellowship phase is that downtime. There's a lot of games that have it, right? And I think it's really cool. Okay. Can I break it down a little? Tell you
Sure,
what's going
do
on
it.
here?
Tell me about it.
All right, cool. So downtime is first triggered either as a phase of play or the time after an adventure and before the next one, right? It's either a codified phase of play or it's the thing that happens when you end the adventure, but before you can start the next adventure.
Okay, yep.
Okay. And that has to be triggered. We have to know that we're entering downtime. Okay. Once we do, there's often an economy, right?
Sure,
for just the
sure.
reasons we said earlier, right? There needs to be this leveling or balancing.
But it's a game, right?
It's a game, right? It's a resource mechanic.
Otherwise, we could just keep going and going and going.
Correct. And so when downtime begins, you get your fresh allotment, right? You're usually, whatever your currency is for the game, you receive your allotment. Players then choose their downtime actions. Often, this is from a list. Sometimes it'll be freeform, but most times this is like a coded list. If the downtime has any kind of mechanism around it, you will engage and resolve that mechanism. So if we're talking about like
How
Forge,
healing works.
well, if we're talking about like Forge in the Dark, if I take the train, you get an XP, and you get to put the XP where you want it.
Or if I take the indulge my vice,
Yeah,
then you have to go through the indulge my vice thing.
exactly. Right. Okay. So you follow the rule packet that goes with that. Any downtime actions are resolved. Characters are then updated, and any new information that is gained is added to the narrative. So, for instance, and we only talked about this briefly, Forge in the Dark games have projects.
They do.
And so you can set up a goal like, I would like to track all the members of the Red Sash through the city.
Well, here I will give you one from my game.
Sure.
Eric, the Weregator, is trying to build a casino, and it actually had two parts to it. One, there was a clock for finding a location and then building it up.
Yep.
So that was one clock that was being filled up by using rolls.
Yep.
He would spend his downtime to make a roll. The other side of it was he had to put enough credit into it.
To have money to
Now,
kick it off.
he could do that outside of downtime
Right.
by just acquiring it, but the downtime action was finding the location, and then he could use downtime actions to go and acquire the credits.
So yeah, at some point when one of those clocks fills, the narrative gets updated.
Yep.
Yeah. So things from the downtime update the narrative of the game.
Such as now, currently in our game, Eric the Weregator, his character, has a casino
Yeah.
on a planet.
That's awesome. Okay, and then downtime continues until all players have spent or forfeited their resources. Rarely does a game let you carry those resources from downtime to downtime. I don't know too many that say, like, if you did not spend your downtime actions this downtime, you get them next downtime, right? They tend to just go away. So there's a strong motivation to use your resources.
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me about the play experience. Like, what does this do for the game?
So downtime, the design of it, it's to reflect that a lot more happens in the characters' lives than just that adventure time. Like, that's the time that we all like think of as being like the camera on TV and things like that.
Yep.
But these are kind of the montage sequences that go in between that we sometimes see.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not the perfect way to think about it, but it's not a bad way to think about it. They also create a mechanism for achieving these long-term goals between games that characters try to achieve through the use of projects. It gives a structure, right? Structures are important. So this helps the character define those long-term goals. It helps to build anticipation for campaign play, which makes campaigns feel, instead of just trying to tell this long story, there's like a structure for that. And then it also helps create emotional and personal investment in the game because you are building things inside of play, which is fun. At least it's fun for me. It doesn't have to be fun for everybody, but that is the kind of fun that these mechanics are generating.
Yeah.
They also do a thing where they help mark larger passages of time. So if you have time between adventures, then downtime's a great way to point that out. Also, if you have longer passages of time and days are one of your things, then more downtime stuff can get done.
Yeah.
Assuming you have the other resources to do it too.
Yep.
So adventures, they tend to be compressed, right? They're like important moments in the character's life, short chunks of time usually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple days, a week, couple weeks, maybe at the most.
Yeah, so it helps with that thing that they state in that D&D book, that one that Gary Gygax wrote.
The accurate
tracking of campaign time is very important to play.
It's really the only way to play the game.
It's really the only way to play the game.
It's really the only way to play the game.
Really the only way.
I'll go get my copy. I'll go get my copy of the book.
Anyways, downtime actually helps you track time. So if time matters to you, it can actually help with that. It makes it feel like there's time passing instead of just being like, well, X amount of time passed and you got to do stuff. It also helps to mechanize things that are important to the game, but not necessarily fun to play out. Like doing weeks of magical research on a new ritual isn't a ton of fun to play out all of those weeks of magical research.
So do you remember the John Wick story?
Well, can I actually talk about why this could be terrible too? Like,
yeah.
Hopefully your rules, like you can have the weeks of research, and then hopefully after the weeks of research, either you get the thing, or you make a roll and you get the thing with the complication. It's never a fail, because that's how D&D is designed. Like you get the thing with the complication. Like you make a magic item, it'll just have like a flaw with it.
When we talk about in a few minutes about problems that downtimes could occur, this would be a design failure, right? Which would be having a downtime where there's no fruit for your labor.
Yeah, that would be. It would feel bad.
That would be very shitty, especially if you're using your downtime for it, right?
No, I'm not saying that you can't have a game that has that kind of mechanic in it. I mean, that's a different kind of game, though. That's pushing a certain kind of feel.
It is. Like, you got to know that going in. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of, what was it, from John Wick's Play Dirty, the one where the character was put in jail, and John made him sit out of the game for, like, sessions.
I don't know why that person played that game.
I don't either, right? Because it's a totally dick move. But it is that kind of thing where...
They just felt really good because they survived for 8 weeks.
Right. It is this kind of thing with the downtime mechanic where realistically, something like magical research has to happen if you're a mage. But sitting at the table and being like, sorry, Bob, tonight the rest of the adventurers are going off into the Bandit Hills to get some loot. but since you wanted to work on that new spell, you just sit out for tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Like that would suck, right? You would never want to actually research any kind of magical. You'd be like, F that. I'll just use the 4 spells I have. I'm going on the adventure.
Yeah.
Right? Or let's go kill a wizard who has all this stuff so I don't have to do this research, right? So it lets you do the things that make complete sense in the overall narrative of the character.
And gives you a structure for it.
Right, but makes it so that like we can just we don't hand wave it, right? Because the hand wave would be if we had no downtime. We'd be like, cool, you did magical research.
It plays it. It gets it done in a reasonable amount of time for whatever game you're playing usually.
Right, and it makes it interesting enough.
Yeah, I mean, it should fit inside of the game. So like downtime is a tool, right, in the game designer's toolbox.
Right.
And if you designed it well, then it'll make sense and slot into those in between, so you can have that beat.
Right.
Play.
And if you're doing a resource mechanic, the other part of this is now we're making decisions. Do I do X? Do I do Y? So let's just take Bob's magical research thing. Let's say we're all going to stay in town, right? Because we're downtiming. But Bob's got 2 actions for his downtime. So on a roll, if he's lucky, 1 action will get him the magical research he needs to unlock the spell.
Yes.
2 will absolutely guarantee it. Or he could make healing potions. Right? So now we've got an interesting dilemma.
Or he could go find the cure to his now transformed arm.
Sure. So now we have an interesting decision. Is Bob going to take both actions for magical research and guarantee that he gets the new spell for the upcoming adventure? Or is he going to try to get the success he needs on the spell to get it, and if he doesn't, he'll get it next downtime, and take care of his arm, healing potion, whatever.
You were also interestingly indicating that you have to declare both those actions before
could be a
you do
thing.
a thing, which could be a thing.
Could be a thing.
Because that's the only time that situation that matters. Because he could make the check first to see if he finishes it, and then make the choice whether he wants to do it again.
He
or do
could,
something
but
else.
if he fails, so let's say he doesn't make the check.
Now
what
he has
do
the choice.
Now he's in the choice space,
Yeah.
right? And interesting decisions make for interesting play. We should codify that somewhere. Interesting decisions for interesting play. Okay. Anyway, I feel like
the problem is interesting is subjective, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's more about
Yeah.
appropriate decisions for the game that is being designed. Would be the thing that's interesting.
Sure.
I don't know. Does that seem like?
I like interesting decisions for interesting play. And yes, it's subjective. Subjective. It's fun. Also subjective.
I was also just trying to get to for the people listening at the home that like to design games. Like that
I've
is
almost
actually
finished
something to
this
think about.
coffee. I'm a little wired right now. We drank like 3 with dinner, and I just finished this.
That's why I didn't have another one.
I know.
Anyways, let's move on, right?
Yeah,
we should
yeah.
probably talk about another show in the Misdirected Mark Network. But before that, maybe I'll play this ad.
Up above, you see blood-red clouds boiling across the sky.
I hear that you're about to go on an adventure.
You know how Emma likes to have me running around worrying about things?
You see armies at your back, dwarven, elven, human. You see all the races under your command, and you wickedly smile back at yourself.
We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
And you see this light being shattered into 7 different pieces.
It's not worth the risk.
Just say it's part of my inquisitive nature.
I have been following you for a very long time.
Do you want to count down? 3, 2, 1. Now. And you feel the world drop out from beneath you.
The Lucky Die Podcast is a weekly 5e Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast. Join our adventure every Monday wherever you download podcasts by searching for The Lucky Die.
It's a really good sounding podcast.
Those
are snippets of their play.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds great.
And they do that weekly. That's a lot of work.
Yes,
I have
it
nothing but mad respect.
That's a factory, man.
Respect.
That is a factory.
Maybe not. I have way out there respect. They have high levels of respect for these people.
When I say factory, I mean that is impressive because that is like record it, start editing it, start writing the next one, record it. Like that's
Well, if they play for like 4 hours, and assuming
then they can chop.
They can chop their episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, it could be less bad, I suppose.
Show on the Misdirected Mark Network.
Yeah, so there's this show called Pandas Talking Games.
I know that show.
I know 2 people that record that show. fact, one of them is sitting to my right, and the other one's sitting states and states away.
I have heard of this show. This is
one of
good
them's
show.
playing. One of them's playing Star Wars tonight.
Oh, that's cool. Star Wars is good.
Yeah.
Which is why she's not in this chat room, I suppose.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, Phil and Senna, they're going to answer your questions about role-playing games, and they do it from the perspectives of usually two different sides of a thing.
Yep.
Sometimes one-shots and campaigns, sometimes player game master, sometimes whatever they come up with. And it's always got a little bit of, or a lot of, panda silliness.
Yeah. That is definitely true.
Black and white and red all over.
Mm-hmm. Spanked panda. Okay.
There you go.
How's chat room doing?
Chat room's good. We had a question from Blake Ryan. For Dungeon World, discussion... Misdirected
Mark, word scramble.
See how I work that in every week?
I don't
Discussing
think
a
you worked
ritual or requirements and goals, etc. for a wizard.
Sure.
Is that downtime? That's...
Discussing a ritual?
Well, so I think the ritual. So it depends.
There's no downtime mechanics for Dungeon World.
Right. There's no formalized downtime mechanics for Dungeon World. He says, thinking.
I can't think of a supplement that has it.
There is not a phase for it. There are special moves that are done. The camp move, which is the level up move.
Yeah, but we already decided.
Yeah, we decided level up wasn't that. Yeah, no. No, so that there's no formal downtime system.
Downtime system. You have to kind of make it up yourself.
Right.
You could easily slot some stuff in there.
All right, so let's be clear. There is absolutely downtime things you can do between adventures.
Yes.
Downtime mechanics is a structure codified into the game via rules.
Yeah.
That is an actual, like, when you are between adventures, you do these things.
Yeah.
So the answer is no. Is it a thing that you can do in downtime? Yes. Like little d downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can certainly, in a narrative sense, as a GM, be like, well, you're between adventures, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, because
this is downtime.
Yeah, because there's no actual, when it's between adventures, the players have no mechanical framework to do those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's the thing. Like,
right. You can certainly ask to do those things.
If I am the dungeon master for that game or the MC for that game, once the adventure's over, I'll be like, all right, the adventure's over, but this thing just happens.
Yeah.
A day later.
Yeah, and sometimes, and I've done this with tons of games that didn't have downtime mechanics, where I get to the end of an adventure before starting the next one, and I just ask the players, like, hey, what are you guys doing before the next job, the next adventure, right? And then I often will write that as like a little, like maybe one scene thing at the beginning of the next game.
Yeah, like Nick, the downtime mechanics, I believe, came out of the idea of this. Like, instead of us sitting around discussing what you've done, like, here's a structure for how you do these things between games.
And let's get them. Let's get
it codified. Let's get them so that you can spend some points, and it's more gamified, right?
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't count as downtime, but I love that the Conan D20 says when you start the next adventure, you've lost half of your wealth carousing. It is definitely not downtime, but it is definitely awesome.
Yeah, that's about right. That seems about right.
If anything, that's a session initiation activity.
Absolutely is.
All right, let's dive back in, kids.
All right.
So, you're first.
Yeah. So listen,
questions. We're talking about questions.
Yeah, we're coming in. We're going to do some questions that we like to, along the lines of what we normally talk about when we are looking at things in the garage. Question number 1: as a player or GM, how do you best utilize downtime in a game?
What is player? No, I'm sorry, that was Jeopardy. As a player, I like downtime to send love letters to my game masters. Like, I am focused on this stuff in my downtime, so I want more of this stuff. That's the kind of stuff that makes me happy as a player.
And I think Forged in the Dark games do that great with the project.
They not just the project, but even how they level up. Like, everybody started taking the thing that gives you access to the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, they want more way stuff.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So, or I dropped some way stuff in there, and they all started going at the way. So then I ended up putting more way stuff in my game.
In my Blades in the Dark game, Bob had a very specific project looking for all of the hulls, the robot things.
Oh, neat.
Because he was looking for his mother.
Oh, cool.
My mother's spirit was
put into a hull.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that was Bob was telling me very much that that's a storyline he would like. And before we had ended that campaign, Bob had met somebody. I did a narrative scene based on one of his based on one of his downtimes, and he met this person who clearly was more than what they appeared. Like that became a arc.
Yeah.
Based off of that. So yeah, I agree. I think love lettering's awesome.
Yeah.
How about as a GM?
I like to see how Downtime can open up new avenues of storytelling. For instance, as an example, one, a lot of the interlude things or the ways that people get spaced out from abusing their vices,
yes,
can lead to interesting situations.
Sure.
Characters missing for a session, or like one adventure was completely created off of the fact that in the interlude, which isn't a downtime, right? Well, I guess that it wasn't a downtime, but it led to a clock that could be utilized for downtime to look into it.
Okay.
So like that was the thing that happened. And a weight entity showed up on the ship and was hanging out in one of the characters' rooms, and then they were like, "Well, why don't we start a project to figure out what's going on with this thing?"
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly in Forged in the Dark games. That's exactly what you're supposed to use that downtime for when you say like, look, here's the thing that we're not going to resolve with 1 or 2 rolls, and it's going to persist for a while, but it's also possibly at this moment not necessary to be in the spotlight of the game.
But
like,
it came up later.
It came up later.
Sure did.
And maybe discovering what it was leads to, well, shit, like we should get that thing out of here. Yeah. Cool.
We're going to have a lot of things to discuss from the chat room at some point in the not too distant future. There's been a bunch of questions and comments they're fairly, of course, intelligent because our chat room's very intelligent.
Of course.
The smart cookies.
Yeah. What about you? Hey, Bob, what about you as a player or a GM?
Yeah, so as a player, similar to what you already said, with love lettering, I like to use my downtime actions to do something to help make the story more interesting. Like, if I'm not giving seeds to my GM for more stuff that I want to see, I'm also like, maybe I'm creating a complication for myself. It's still, essentially, it's love lettering. It's telling your GM you want stuff. But I like that like, not just sit there and be like, I'm just going to spam the train button and mechanically improve myself. I'm going to do things that are interesting to the story. I like to do that. And since I haven't GM'd in a bazillion years,
you don't have to answer the GM side.
But yeah, I like, there's a lot of things that you guys have said that I've learned a lot of great GM advice during the course of being on this podcast and editing Gnome Stew and whatnot. So if I ever do GM again, I'm sure there's a lot of things that I'll take advantage of.
What about you, Phil?
So I'm kind of with you along the idea that downtime can lead to new arcs. So like the example I gave before, I took Bob's downtime action to search all these hulls, and I started to create a new story arc, somewhat related to the hull thing, but with a character that Bob ran into while doing that research. Like, he was out and about doing research when this guy bumped into him, and then he started to get to know this guy, and then this guy needed help, right? Like, so it gave me a nice jump off point to be like, okay, well, if you're researching hulls, you're in this part of town where people trade in parts for hulls, and this guy, you bump into this guy. In fact, I think he was in trouble when you first found him. I think he was getting his ass kicked or something, because you were a hunter.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
so. He was in trouble, and Bob saved him, and I used that to spin off a new arc. So I think that while it's nice that downtime mechanics let you streamline through stuff, you can also build stories out of them. You don't have you can streamline the boring ones and then take the interesting things and make things out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next question. Is there anything about downtime that can cause problems or challenges in a game? Why don't we start with you, Bob, since you answered in the middle last time?
Things with downtime that can cause problems?
Or you could just pass, your choice.
Well, I mean, clearly the...
you didn't press the buzzer, so,
yeah.
I just called on you.
What is... Screw off, I'm not going to answer this. No. In Scum and Villainy...
You did not say who screws off.
Yes.
So you lose $200.
In Scum and Villainy, when you indulge your vice and you blow past your limit and you're out of action... if you were one of the people that was integral to the current
pilot.
storyline, or if you're,
I think
you're
people
one
can
of
fly
the
the ship, just
useful
not
skill
well.
sets, one of the more useful skill sets for something that that's going on.
I strangely find that they're all fairly useful skill sets. They just change the way that you approach problems.
Yes, that's the thing. But it does change, like, oh, we were just about to go and do the thing. Now we have to come at it from a different angle because we don't have our, our heavy hitter, or we don't have, the planny guy or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely going to throw things into a little bit of a disarray.
I agree.
You can go next.
I think Bob had mentioned it just before. I think that there's a potential for players to min-max by only focusing on the character improvement ones rather than some of the other story-based ones.
Sure.
Like, it's not technically wrong, right? Like, it's not technically wrong because there is a resource that's keeping you from spamming it. But for instance, if all you do every downtime is like, I go train, right? And you just all you're doing is banking experience points. And Bob, on the other hand, is engaging in a project and he's making a new contact or whatever. You can get kind of a little bit of a disparity in skill levels, right? Because the person who's only training is advancing at a faster rate than everyone who isn't. And again, I'm saying potential problem, right? Like, it's not wrong, bad fun, but it is a thing where somebody could just be like, if they're like, boss story, I don't like story, I'm just gonna keep pushing the experience button.
If you'll let me throw the counterpoint down to that thing right there.
Sure.
And maybe not even the counterpoint, but the advice for when you have that kind of play going on. When somebody is pushing at the story side of things, then those things that they create in the story side of things should be resources and assets that they can use later. Because that's the thing that balances out mechanically the person that's training up their skills.
Sure.
Because it gives them, because the person with the skills has more personal power, but the person with the assets and the resources has more outside power to draw upon.
Yes.
And actually more narrative positioning in a lot of ways.
That's what, you hope that's how people are handling that.
I feel like that's how you should be thinking about handling it.
I agree, right? Like, and I don't think it's completely broken. I just, I know of past players who may have taken, who would have just taken that option.
Sure, I'm with you. That's why I mentioned it. I didn't say it was as a problem, but as a game master to mitigate that issue or to actually, I think because the game, I believe, intends that issue to be like that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a thing. Eric's character has a casino. It's going to generate money for him.
Yeah. And I think if you...
And money actually has power in
it
those
very
games.
much does.
Yeah.
If you look at Harper's design, right? If you look at Harper's design, there's a strong leaning towards take the project. Take a project. Projects are fun. They're cool. They're relatively easy to complete in a few downtimes with some good rolls, and they generate more interesting stuff, right? The least, I would say, it's like damage damage is a hard move. Damage is a hard move is sometimes the least interesting thing you can do. Getting an extra XP, especially in a Forged in the Dark game, considering all the other options of things you can do, getting an extra XP point isn't the most interesting thing you can do.
Not only is it not the most interesting, it's not efficient.
Right. You're going to get XP for other things anyway.
But, if that's what you want, or if you have some story rewards that have helped you, or some rewards that you have built that helped you, if you have the training room that lets you train and then get 2 XP once a downtime.
Yep.
Now it's more worth it to play the downtime. They were in the Scum and Villainy game that I was running. They hooked up with some of the other way users, and I was like, all right, you can once per downtime for the next couple downtimes spend an experience point and get 3 points in that. But when you level up that part, you have to take a tune because that's the way power.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to ask you for Eric's casino.
Sure.
Are you going to do? Are you going to do the fortune roll, to see how it does?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's badass.
Totally.
Yeah. I was just going to say because that fortune mechanic is exactly the thing you should use for it. That's so boss. Okay, roll. Ooh, a 1.
Yeah. I might even
bad times at the casino.
I might even be if you want to invest some cash into this or whatever to alter the roll or a downtime,
Yeah.
I
Get
might roll an
extra
extra die.
Yeah,
on top of it.
yeah. Okay, good. Okay, you're in the same space I'm in. Like that's where I would be.
I've now run enough of that game that I have a pretty good control of
So
the system.
the thing that we didn't do, that we didn't get to do when we played Gangbusters because we nearly died on the other mechanics, is that Gangbusters has somewhat complicated, but it has a system for if you own a casino, right? There's like a set of rules you
Doesn't
make.
that game have a system for if you want to do your taxes?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
But it
Like,
has
there's like an
it has a
accounting
subsystem for if you have a casino. There's like things you roll to see how much money you generate
Yeah.
per week, which is cool. So I was hoping when you said Gator was getting a casino, I was like, oh, it would be really boss if there was like a roll that kind of like you get extra wealth this week because you rolled a 4 or 5. Oh, you get like 2 wealth because like you got a 6. Oh, you got a 1. You got raided. Or a fight broke out.
Or
you're into a
do you
gangster
want?
for a whole
I'll
bunch
be
of
like,
money.
do you want to lose 3 wealth or do you want a complication?
You know what it is? Do you want to lose 3 wealth or do you want to go hunt this guy down who stiffed you?
Yeah, right. There you go.
Because now you just have a new bounty, right? Like,
And since they're bounty hunters, it works pretty well.
exactly. Like, we'll go get them.
Did we all answer? I think we did because I was last, right?
Yeah, I think we did.
No, I didn't answer. We talked.
We talked. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Feel free.
because mine's a little different from
Yeah.
your guys. So if you want your game completely in the character or story level, downtime can take you out of that. Like if that is not the game that you're looking for, because downtime has a bit of a mechanical edge to it. Like I'm going to spend my resources to do things, and it's not group play either, right? I mean, we are basically in round robin usually, going around the table, spending our points. So if you don't want that focus on your game, you don't want the game level to have a focus of your game, then downtime mechanics don't really work for that play style. Make sense? That's one of the few problems that was one of the problems that I saw about it that was a little different from everybody else's. Oh, we have one more question left.
Yeah.
All right.
What ways, as designers, do we want to explore or play with this mechanic? Like, how do you want to mess with this thing?
Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
No, I asked the question. You get to,
All right,
you get to go
cool.
first.
So I like downtime to be a strategic part of play. I like that a lot. I want people to spend their time training, preparing for the next mission, or healing from previous encounters. Like I like that decision tree. I like decision trees with this resource, right? And I am very fascinated by that space and how it can add to storytelling in a game while being a game. Like that's a big thing for me for design. Like how does my mechanic turn into fiction, then turn back into a mechanical thing that will generate more fiction? Like I like that flow back and forth. I also want to push downtime mechanics for game masters, where they are like spending points also to bring up new threats and open up new avenues of story against the characters, like especially opposition against the characters. So this is a very different and very campaign-styled thought process. It's not. I don't really know of any games that have it.
No, I mean, I think what you're kind of alluding to is like the idea of like a GM budget.
Yes, a GM budget for that, but on a
Right.
campaign scale instead of on a game scale.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like a campaign level Doom pool.
It is a campaign level.
Kind of.
Instead of a Doom pool, though, it's like I'm going to put these points on the sheet, and when I fill up these tracks or these clocks, then I have access to this new stuff to bring to bear against my characters. Either resources or opposition or avenues of attack. Like normally, like the game I'm designing right now, one of the things I want to have in there is the characters have anchors. They have people and places that are important to them. At the beginning of play, I don't want those things to be attacked, but by the game master spending points on this sheet, eventually they can open it up that the bad guys have discovered some of the anchors and things that are important to these characters and can go after them.
Yeah, because traditionally what you would do is just the GM decides when to do that.
Yes.
But that's so
it's arbitrary.
Right, and a couple things happen, right? So some GMs will either never do it or won't do it till it's too late, right? Because they're kind of like, oh, I don't want to feel arbitrary or feel spiteful, so I'm going to not mess with that. Some GMs are going to get overexcited, right? And just do it, and it's going to be heavy-handed and early, right? Like, wow, dick move. Like, I barely did anything in this game, and you're already attacking my, my relative.
Or hit, like, multiple players' things at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So what's neat about the mechanic is it's like, look, this stuff's going to happen because it's in the game. But we're basically setting up clocks for you as a GM to let play decide when you get to bring this into your next session.
Or if there's enough of the stuff, then you can replay the campaign at a later time, and then different things could possibly pop up. Which is, to me, that's the interesting thing.
Right.
It creates replayability. Not that people ever replay the same games or whatever, but sometimes they do.
Sometimes. I think it's an interesting. Idea, and actually, GM budgets, as you mentioned, that are because I was not thinking of the campaign level thing, but when Senda and I have been working on Ditch Lilies, one of the things that that we're working on, because it's by no means done, is that everything the GM does in that game is currency driven. Like, I can open a scene, but if I want to actually push if I want to push a problem, and this is a thing that you put in one, I spend dice for that. But I have other things I can spend dice on to complicate the game so that the GM can't do it arbitrarily.
Yeah, there's a resource.
Yeah, because I mean, again, the classic rocks fall, you die thing. Like, all right, I'm ready to just fall off a tangent here for a second. Can we tangent?
Yeah. Do
okay.
it.
So this may be a whole topic unto itself, but I think what's really interesting here is that classically, what we've done in games is we codify a ton of stuff that the players can and can't do. And then we just tell the GM, like, well, you can do whatever you want, like, just be cool. Right? Like, that's classic D&D, right? Classic D&D is basically like, look, here, players, here's a bunch of shit that governs how you do things in the narrative. The GM, on the other hand, has a few rules about how monsters attack and stuff, but largely the rest of it the GM can do themselves.
The storytelling part,
Right.
There's not a. I mean, well, with Downtime, there's a phase now.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is, what I'm finding is
they can write whatever adventure they want to.
Right. What I'm finding to be an interesting space, and I say this over the last year because you and I kind of went back and forth on this when I was doing some work on Long Live the Queen, which I eventually rolled into the similar mechanics into the Hydro Hack for Hydro Hackers this summer when I did Blue Europa, was this idea that in game, players, as they were doing their heist, were generating these heat tokens, and the GM could spend heat tokens to take a hard move even when nothing in the fiction dictated it.
Yes.
Like, it just, once it built up enough, I was empowered to be like, I'm spending these, and I did this, I think, in a game Jerry was in. They're in the process of, in the casino, like, stealing the water, and they were getting away with it pretty well, and I had a couple points, and I was like, I'm spending these points. A couple comes into the warehouse, like, to get it on, like a couple of employees to get it on, as you're in the middle of your, like, scam. Like, what do you do, right? And I only had a few points, so I couldn't put a really big threat on the table, but I could put a complication. And I had this list for the adventure that was like, here is shit you're allowed to do when you spend these points. And I'm now really fascinated by this idea of, with what you're talking about at the campaign level and what we kind of talked about last year as you and I were kind of brainstorming this stuff, is like codifying in terms of budgets things that GMs can do so that it's not as arbitrary. Because one, I think it really helps new GMs when the game says, look, I got you, bro. Like, here's the mechanics for how we're going to make this game go and how we're going to make the story and the campaign and the arc go. Yeah. And then for a seasoned GM, it's like, hey, here's your creative constraints. Like, you've only got 4 points on the table. Make some shit happen, but you can only use these. Like, you can't rocks fall this thing or whatever. So, I'm very fascinated about this space right now.
So, if anybody's curious, the games where some of these ideas come from are Dusk City Outlaws. It's a heist game that has this heat mechanic for the heist, but that is for the particular heist that's going on. It, very much like Ditch Lilies, like you generate points. Yep. You can spend those points to do things. And it's very, very codified as sort of per heist what you can do. The Fantasy Flight, like Star Wars Imperial Assault and Descent 2, bad guys generate a certain amount of points, like threat points, that you can spend to do things. Now, I mean, that's a board game, right? But it's
whatever.
Yeah. But the idea is still applicable to, like, well, I mean, we have these concepts of like complications or a serious thing for this particular adventure or situation is like this many points, and that happens. Like, you can write those up per scenario, like with Dust City Outlaws, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that on the campaign level.
Yeah. So what I'm digging, because one of the games I'd like to design-wise return back to, because I would very much like to look at it in terms of one, was Long Live the Queen, which actually bears some similarities in some ways with Black Corner, in that there's a secret organization and stuff involved. But I like this idea that at the end of the game, if I have unspent GM points, that I can convert them into campaign points, campaign currency, that I can then use in the campaign downtime mechanic. So that it's like, well, yes, I generated all of these points as a GM. I don't need to spend all these on the players right now, because maybe I would topple them if I did. But in fact, even better, if I want to, like, oh, I have enough points here that if I didn't spend these 6 dice, I could unlock the additional threat or something to add to the storyline.
Oh, look, all of my Kingsguard. Instead of the carnations. Yeah. All of my Kingsguard now have vibrating rapiers.
Exactly. I upgraded them.
Yeah, because they came from the future.
Yes. Yeah. So now, like, I'm finding, like, to me, and again, I know we're way off tangent, but I guess we're coming around on downtime. I'm really interested.
Well, we're talking about a downtime system.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really interested in this idea of coupling those things together. Like, GMs get points for certain things in the game. GMs can spend points in the game to make things complicated. And the unspent points actually have a place to go.
Yeah. And I'm loving the idea of this being a tool to help a novice GM keep their intrusions and things like that thematically and campaign appropriate, giving them some stuff so that it's not random and arbitrary.
Which I think is where it becomes an advantage to newer GMs is, hey, we actually have you between games. Which is not a thing that a lot of games do right now. Like, a lot of times it's like, cool, when your adventure's over, go write another one.
Yeah, or decide what is happening in the outside world as the world keeps turning. While your players are doing X, other stuff is happening.
I've literally
seen other stuff is happening.
I've literally seen that written in games. Like, decide what else happens between games.
Having that resource where, like, well, you could use these points to do these things with these types of da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's, to me, is super useful.
Oh, this is some fascinating ground.
It is interesting.
Like, this is that moment where, like, where you scrape off the surface of the ground, you see these sparkling things underneath, and you're like, well, now, like, let's get the picks and shovels, because I think it's time to go mining.
Before we move on, you had another thing to say about downtime as far as design goes. Didn't quite cover some of it.
So I think this is a thing that you actually have in...
I do.
You actually have it in Black Corner, which I really like. But I don't think we ever talked about the second part of it. So you have a thing in the Black Corner where I can spend some of my downtime for points of preparedness.
Yes.
Now, points of preparedness, much like Knights Black Agents, is that cool thing where you can spend a point, and it's like, I have a thing, did a thing, whatever, and it comes into play.
In Black Corner is the only way to actually negate a complication.
Correct. So what I like is if we just add the final piece to that, which maybe you were already thinking of, we just never talked about, which is the story piece, which is when I spend this preparedness, what did you do in your downtime that prepares you for this moment?
Like, in fact, you actually have to state what you did in order to spend the point.
Right. So now it creates this basically flashback, not only just a flashback where it's like, oh, I went and bought, I went and bought
it's totally
stuff.
It's the flashback mechanic.
Yeah. But what I really like about it is, like, I'm going to take a point as part of my downtime to prepare myself for something in the future. I don't know what it is right now that I need to prepare myself for, but I did it at that point in the future, right? I like Knights Black Agents gives you those points of preparedness, but doesn't make you actually do anything to earn them. Like, you just get them at the beginning of an adventure. You get them every adventure. In this downtime thing, I like the idea that I'm spending downtime to build that pool, and
made sense to me.
Right, and then I love the flashback idea of, well, cool. how did that happen? Because again, any of these things that kick story out. Because maybe when I describe this, we're suddenly about to make a new NPC that's a contact.
It's fiction that goes into a mechanic that comes out to generate more fiction.
That is a very Misdirected Mark thingy that we like. I didn't say we invented it. It's a if there are things about mechanics that we both love, we all three love in games, that piece right there, mechanic to fiction, fiction to mechanic.
It's not the only thing, but it is one of my favorite ways to design a thing. Right? Like, what is my fiction that goes into my mechanic that generates my fiction?
Exactly. So I like that, and then I like anything that downtime-wise that you can use to cool campaign clocks. So in Blades in the Dark, there's one of those actions is you can reduce heat. Right. So you can be like, wow, that last mission was a real cluster. One of us better go spread some creds around, and get some of
sacrifice one of our crew to go to jail for something.
Right, or just spread some creds around because there's a thing you can do to go bribe people that is like, yeah, let's just forget about this. Like I like those things too, and I like that because in Black Corner you have it somewhat with cover, but in Long Live the Queen that cover is going to be way more important. Yeah, because you only have one cover.
Yeah.
There's no...
Black Corner, you're part of an organization. Like, you can get a new cover every mission if you want.
And you get shuffled around the globe. Like, in Long Live the Queen,
it is a very small space that you're operating.
Correct. And if you get blown, you're out of the game.
Yeah, you're in trouble. You're out of the game, right?
You have to escape.
Yeah, because you can't operate inside of that space
If anymore. They figure out you're some sort of spy, that
that's very
they'll come after you. Fascinating stuff.
All right.
God, I love when we do these.
Is that it? Is that our discussion about downtime?
I feel like
that's our
Plus, I feel like we've had the beginning of a discussion of a whole new kind of thing that we're going to do, we're going to put in our designs.
All right. Is there anything else in the chat room that we should be talking about? I thought I saw some really interesting statements.
Like I couldn't parse all of them all out, but Jared asked a question a while back. What genres are better suited to downtime mechanics, if so?
I think most genres are perfectly fine for downtime mechanics. Downtime is a beat.
I think if you have anything that has in between, like you do a thing here and then you do a thing here, downtime is in between.
Yeah, I feel like genre is really independent of that.
I think.
And I thought about it because I saw it a while ago.
I can't think of one where it doesn't work. Like, I mean, there's like every genre I'm thinking of quickly in rapid succession: Western, supers.
It doesn't matter so much for paranoia.
Right, like you know who's like you know what comic book was like the master of downtime stuff? Fantastic Four. Like in between action stuff, Reed's in the lab making something. 50-50, it's going to help the universe or screw the universe, or usually screw the universe, but then later come back and help it.
Yeah. I feel like the only time that downtime is there downtime. There's not downtime in action movie world, right?
No, because in action movie world, you're technically the actors playing.
Yeah, there's no downtime phase for the actors in action movie world.
No, not really, because you just come back and play another you come back and play another movie.
Yeah.
There's no although interestingly enough, it would be fun if there was a downtime thing where you could do like endorsements.
Yeah.
You could buff up, right? Like you could do like.
You just finished the cop thing, but now you're going to do the barbarian movie. And
right, so you just I'm going to buff up for it and get it like temporarily. My strength or whatever it is goes up.
That would be interesting.
Oh, there could be mechanics. Yeah. Let's just say there isn't, but there could be.
We'll just have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we should do a thing.
There's a mention that about the Dresden Files and having to do with the Dresden Files role-playing game, where Dresden made a mini model of the city of Chicago in downtime between missions, and they used it in mission, like activating an aspect in Fate. And then Jared said, I think the model was a stunt, and I'm pretty sure it was, because between those two missions, Harry leveled, like went up a rank, so he had another Fate point, or another point of refresh. I'm sorry.
Sure.
So he could spend that point of refresh to do a thing, or move his refresh around. I mean, those novels in the game, they don't match up really well. Like, I'm now listening to the Dresden Files for like the 15th time. Like, man, the later books are so much better than the earlier ones. But it's that Fate is not. I don't know if Fate necessarily works super well for like a Dresden Files campaign as far as like pacing it out the way that the Dresden Files are written, because there's usually giant gaps of time between books.
Yeah.
And the the Dresden Files role-playing game could have used some downtime rules to be a more effective model for what the story was. Like, I think that would have, to model that storytelling, it would have been probably very useful. All right, cool. So let's do our last ad. We had 3 ads today.
We're going to say ad-filled night.
Captain, hostile energy signatures 500 clicks out, coming out of the atmosphere.
Maintain your attack formation. While you do that, I'm going to go meet them head on. Beta Wing, after we engage you, drop that ordnance plant sign and get out of here. Let me go take their leader.
Negative, Captain. I'm breaking formation. I'm going for myself. Jenkins, well, let's go.
But I was going to do that. Oh. Get him. Get her, Ray.
Blast off for adventure with infinite galaxies.
Are you ready for some sci-fi action adventure? Robots, aliens, laser guns, starships? All of this and more can be yours.
You know, Infinite Galaxies can be played using... Did I just skip a thing?
Yes,
yeah,
yes, you did.
I thought...
Infinite Galaxies is powered by the Apocalypse game based on favorites like Dungeon World and Apocalypse World and includes new systems to promote high velocity action. And I believe it has a downtime mechanism is what I heard.
Oh, interesting. So Infinite Galaxies can be played using popular science fiction settings from literature, cinema, and television. Can you play Flash Gordon with it? I wonder if you can play Flash Gordon with it.
Flash Gordon approaching.
And includes advice for those who want to create their own settings, like maybe a space opera Flash Gordon setting?
Maybe. Infinite Galaxies.
He saved every one of us.
It's available on PDF and in print at DriveThruRPG and Indie Press Revolution. Check it out today.
Infinite Galaxies on DriveThruRPG.
Get it now. I've had a lot of fun writing those.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that was the last one.
I know. I had a lot of fun coming up with different sci-fi settings for it. That was my fast attack craft one.
Yes.
Your X-Wing Battlestar.
I took us to the social media depository.
You took us to the Conversation Corner.
Oh, that place, yeah.
That place.
I gotta get a better bumper for that, I guess, or I just gotta relabel it, I suppose. Why don't you talk about stuff in the Conversation Corner?
In episode 400, we're gonna do just all of the previous, like we're gonna do the geekery, followed by the social media repository, followed by the Conversation Corner. That's gonna be like half the episode.
I feel like the last episode we ever do, we're just gonna like do every segment we've ever done.
Oh my God.
It's going to be like a 7-hour show.
That's right. We're just going to stay up until we finish the whole show.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Our last episode is going to be Deadpool kills the Misdirected Mark podcast.
Yeah.
It's one at a time. We just
Ryan Reynolds show up. How cool would that be?
We just kill off each segment. Oh, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Bob, how about you?
Conversation Corner time. Yeah. So I need to start, getting going on the new year.
Well, it's fair. It's the beginning of the new year.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the year. I need to now start putting into play my ideas for trying to, be more productive, get more stuff done. I need to read more for pleasure instead of just reading.
I'm going to talk about that too.
Like you said earlier today, you were physically reading a Dead Tree book.
I
have so many Dead Tree books. I have a stack of Dead Tree books.
I kind of forgot how nice reading a Dead Tree book is.
So I need to start getting that thing going. And of course, the excitement of a new job coming on the horizon.
Hell yeah, man, that's exciting stuff.
Very exciting stuff.
Do you know if did you see are you getting an office?
No, I'm going back to the Cube Wars.
Okay, but you're just going out like in the main cubes, right?
So there's actually very few cubes left in our building. They redid everything and got rid of most of the cubes and made a whole bunch of offices.
Yeah.
I'm in one of the remaining cube things.
So is the Cube Wars like this intergalactic office battle where you shoot rubber bands at each other and throw paper clips?
It could be.
If it's not, you're missing out.
At least, dude, at least you have cubes. At least your bosses weren't like, it'd be awesome. Open floor plan.
Completely open floor plan. Yeah.
Fuck. If you are a boss who advocates for a completely open floor plan, you are a monster.
Yes.
There isn't a fucking employee ever who is ever liked.
I was
They're
thinking
like, but
about
it's
it.
better than cubes. The fuck, it's better than
No,
cubes.
it's not. Better
It's
than
not.
Cubes. Narrator voice. It is not. Better
Give
than
them
cubes.
their cubes. At least give them some fucking privacy.
Narrator voice. It is not better than cubes.
Oh, don't be that fucking monster.
I was thinking about it after I got the position and thinking about where I'm going and who I'm going to be hanging around with. The average age gap between myself and the rest of my coworkers in the department increased by probably 10 years. Because I've got a couple of guys in the department now in the user support that are like late 40s.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's over like 35 in my new department.
Let me just remind you of a thing that we've created in this network called the pop splain. Right? You could just be the dude who pop splains to like the youngins.
I fully intend at some point when I'm having a conversation with my boss, I fully intend to look her in the eye and say, are you prepared for being the boss of a grizzled veteran of the Cube Wars? Because I've been in cubes since before you were, in the workplace.
Here's what I think you should do. When you go to meet your new team, you should head upstairs with like a couple boxes of floppies and just be like, hey, does anyone have a place where I can, does anyone have an extra floppy holder? Like, can I put my floppies like over here? Like, just
the guy that sits in the spot next to me right now, he's the guy that runs the other server that I used to play Minecraft on. He has a film canister.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Filled with jumpers from motherboards.
Yes.
And occasionally he'll sit there and he'll just shake it like a maraca.
You should totally bring a landline phone and put it on your desk.
You need a landline phone. I think I might have a DOS book.
Oh, I have a DOS book.
Yeah, you just put the DOS book down.
Did we say zip drive thing yet?
Oh, I do actually have a zip drive.
I got rid of my zip drive the last time I
saw it in a
bunch of
box.
stuff,
I have a zip drive somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have the zip drive. Maybe I have zip disks, but whatever. 100 meg zip drive, parallel port connector.
Yeah. Another thing I think I have in my attic somewhere, which isn't related to tech computer-wise, but I think I have the old Merlin. Remember that red Merlin that looks like an old
Yes, I remember
phone?
the Merlin game with all that like tic-tac-toe and all that bullshit.
Sure I still have that.
Oh, I fucking loved Merlin.
Bring that in and put it on my desk.
Real
All
zip
these
drives were
youngins-
SCSI. Oh, called out. Oh, yeah, but you had to have a SCSI card. Like, you had to have a real fucking excuse back like in the early '90s to have a fucking SCSI card in your rig. Like if you had a SCSI card in your rig, you were doing some weird shit with either CD drives.
I had a 2X SCSI CD burner.
Right. Oh yeah, you were a Mac guy because it was all SCSI. But if you were a PC guy, you would have like a real fucking excuse to have SCSI cards in your rig. Like that was not a thing. Yeah. What else could you bring? A gateway box. You could bring bring like the Moo Cow box, right?
I still have, kid you not, I need to find a collector that'll buy this from me. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the software anymore, but I still have in the original boxes, damn near pristine condition, my Apple IIgs.
Yeah, dude, that thing's a fucking collector. You should just go fucking look on.
I did, and nobody wants the damn thing because there's no software for it. If I had a couple of the floppy disks for it, people are like, oh yeah. And I'm like, you can't get that from somewhere else?
Apparently not these days.
Can I tell you what's going to make me cry?
What?
Before I go into social media stuff.
What's that?
So fairly soon, the Dark Tower Kickstarter is going to drop. That motherfucker's going to be like $150, $200 game.
Oh, the old board game?
Yeah. Yep. Let me tell you what made me sad. The Car Wars Kickstarter kicked, right?
Yeah.
After all the promises. It was like $100 to get in on it because it's now like 3D painted models and blah blah blah. And I was like,
shit's on a map.
I was like, look,
they should have had a version of it that you could have just gotten the old one.
I was like, man, no, I have all the old stuff, but like, here's the thing
what did you want?
But because the rules sucked. Like, I would have liked the chits with better rules, but I get what, like, look, I get it.
I have a feeling that once that game comes out, if you want the better rules, you could probably just go download them. Like, they'll probably have the free PDF on their website.
Yeah, but I don't think they're making, like, the cardboard tokens, or, I mean, I guess I could make them, but, like, I don't have fucking time to make that shit.
If it's just using all the same old cardboard tokens.
Yeah, see, Mo's with me, right? Mo's with me. Car Wars is nothing like the original. There's cars and you can shoot them. Hey, Mo, what's the other game with the miniature cars that shoot each other from White Wolf? I think it was.
Gaslands.
Oh no, Gaslands is the other one, right? Gaslands is the one that everyone's talking about that's actually brand new. That actually looks decent, and I might actually go buy that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But Car Wars made me sad because I was like, look, I get it. Like after Ogre went ballistic, they were like, we're gonna fucking make the biggest fucking Car Wars ever. But it loses a lot of.
My favorite comment here is, I like that Phil's talking to Mo as if he's the computer in Star Trek.
Yeah. Mo,
By the way, if you want more wonderful information like
Dark
that,
Future is the
you
game
should
that I
check
was
out the
thinking of.
Tabletop
Thank you, Mo.
Bellhop, tabletopbellhop.com. What
Yes.
a wonderful podcast about board games.
What a wonderful world. All right. Anyway, I had a blown game weekend. I lost both my games this weekend.
Sorry, man.
It's okay.
It happens.
I mean, you were laid up.
My first thing is gout sucks.
Yeah. You were laid up, and then Tony had a thing, and so all of a sudden I went from having 2 games on Sunday to no games on Sunday. I did have dinner. Bob, Glenn, and I went out to dinner and went for coffee, which was nice. But I didn't get to game on Sunday. We did play a little for the Queen.
Yes,
that was fun. So I did like that, and I've been doing my prep for Transit.
Sentient spaceships in the sky.
Yeah, I'm going to do this microscope-like thing because there's no default setting for that game. So we're going to do this whole microscope session 0, and we're going to basically come up with our galaxy, like the aliens, the history of it, all of that, and then we're going to figure out what the ships are.
Okay.
So we're going to do a thing like that. Plus, I'm prepping DCC for this week.
That's super neat.
Have a new adventure. Fucking DCC adventures are the fucking most bonker fucking adventures. Like, their first level adventures are like, and this cosmic horror is in it. Like, like, you know, like...
They're not messing around.
They don't mess around, and yet it's still playable. Like, it's not a bloodbath. Like, it's playable, but, like, I can't even tell you because Bob's here and Jerry's in the chat room. The adventure that I downloaded has got this, like, it opens up and it's like, here's the shit that's going to happen in the game, and here's some special rules about it. And I'm reading it, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is some really top level bonker shit. I'm not going to say a word because it's going to happen, and then I'll tell you all about it.
It's right in my wheelhouse.
Oh my god, it is. It's just, those guys are like, I don't think there's a suggestion that's made in that room where Goodman's like, that's too bonkers, you can't use it in the game. Instead, he's
That's
like,
way overpowered for first level
that
characters.
motherfucker up.
Go for
Like,
it. It'll be fun.
Yes.
They'll cower.
It's really, really interesting. Anyway, so yes, I'm prepping that. And I am reading a physical book. I'm reading Ancillary Justice, which I believe Rob read.
Ancillary Justice.
It's really good. It's about a sentient starship, by the way, because I do all my things in line for getting ready for campaigns. It's really good in terms of why I want to run a game about sentient starships, because the author's use of perception, this thing is a ship, plus it's also in control of these ground troops. So it's telling the story from first person, but it can tell it from like multiple locations.
Because it can look through their devices.
Because it is all of them.
Yeah.
It's not even looking through them. It's like, I'm in the plaza looking at myself as I'm walking on patrol, as I'm orbiting the planet.
Oh, because they're in the robot. They're controlling the robot. That makes sense.
It's really sharp. And then if that isn't enough of a challenge for getting your head wrapped around that, the native language that from the place the AI is from doesn't use genders. So the author just replaces it with she.
Okay. So
you spend the whole book like trying to figure out which characters I've given up. Like, they're all just female. Occasionally it will tell you using another language that a character is male.
Which she are you talking about?
And then I'm
here?
like, oh, okay. But otherwise, they're just all she's. It's super interesting. And yeah, Rob read the whole series because there's
it's a trilogy.
Ancillary Sword, and I forget what the third one is.
Ancillary Mercy.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to go buy the other ones now based on this first one. Good stuff.
All right.
Anyway, that's me. Yeah.
So I'm going to bore everybody with football for about 5 minutes. Well, first off, the gout blows. I suffered from a pretty severe case of gout.
Yeah, dude.
Gout is for those who don't know, it's a arthritic condition. It attacked my left knee. I've had it before in different different joints of my body. I couldn't walk on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I managed to get to the doctor to get some drugs, but now I'm about 70%, but I'm still limping around.
Oh, dude, you are not kidding when you say you're limping around. Like, you are.
Yeah, like I'm wearing a brace for stability, and that's not really what it does. Like, but it's terrible. Look it up. It's awful. If you want to get some horror stories.
Little crystals forming inside the joints.
That are like razor sharp.
Yeah.
It can also wreck your joints too, which is the worst part if you're not super careful about it. The Bills lost a very, very intense wild card game. It was so much fun to watch. It was probably the most fun game I've watched since the Dallas Cowboys game that they lost on Monday night like 12 years ago.
I laid down on the couch. Like I couldn't be sitting up any longer. I was texting Bob and I'm like, "Are you okay?"
No, Bob was not okay.
Bob was.
He was not okay.
I did not take that game very well.
No, I took it just fine. There was some wild, wacky stuff that happened.
Yes.
Josh Allen trying to lateral the ball with a minute left to Dawson Knox.
You know what? I love this team, man. Like
I do too.
I love this team. Like I want to see it. Like I'm ready for them for next season.
And Rob is right. That first Bills TD though, when that first drive,
that was glorious.
Josh Allen had like a 42-yard run on a sweep on the first drive. Then he caught a 17-yard touchdown pass from. John
that
Brown
thing was ridiculous.
On the flea flicker, well, that was the thing that happened in a playoff game. Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way you want to go your first drive, right? Like that was the we're not effing around on this.
There's also the other plays that were
it was
infuriating making. Like when Josh Allen would take the ball and run back 15 yards and get sacked, and we're like, what is going on?
You got to watch a bunch of Tom Brady footage. You got to know when to throw that thing right off the sideline.
Now, to go with that, to heal that salve a little bit, the Patriots lost.
Oh, that was
spectacular
sweet.
fashion, too. I mean, they were
glorious.
They were probably going to lose anyway, but Tom Brady throws a pick for a touchdown.
I was
right at the end of the game.
I was so stressed out from watching football that I went and played Minecraft. And Florence was in the other room, and I'm in the middle of Minecraft, and she's like, "That's it, they lost, the Patriots lost," and I was like, "Oh!" Both like Gator and I were on Minecraft, and we were like, "Yes!" There's no. I'm now interested in the Super Bowl. Oh, and didn't the Eagles lose?
I don't know.
Yes, the Eagles did.
Yeah. The Patriots and the Eagles lost. Like it's the most wonderful time of the year. Both my most hated teams were like knocked out. Now I'm excited for anyone who plays the Super Bowl.
So New Orleans feels like they got screwed again because they lost to the Vikings in overtime. The Vikings scored on their overtime drive possession. Yeah. No, it'll be an interesting weekend this weekend.
You know what? I'm like refreshed and renewed. Like I'm sad the Bills didn't make it, but at this point, it's like whoever's left in these brackets, let the good times roll.
Look, for those who aren't really football fans, this might not make a whole lot of sense, but there's a salary cap in football, and the Bills have like $89 million under the salary cap. They're like the fifth highest amount of salary cap. Plus, they have 9 draft picks this year.
It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, and they only have like 2 players that are starters that are up for contract renewal. So I mean, that's a lot of players coming back. Now they're going to have some other things to deal with in the futures because they have like one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL on their team. So
whoa. Is Rob a Eagles fan? Oh man, Rob, say it ain't so, man. Say it ain't so. Please, just like the Jets or the Giants. Please, just like the Jets or Giants.
So Phil hates the Eagles and the Cowboys because Phil is from upstate New York, which means that he's a Giants fan.
I was born and raised a Giants fan.
Yes.
Yep.
So Phil's a Giants fan, so his 747 game every year is whenever the Eagles play the Cowboys. He would just prefer that a Boeing 747 crash on the field and kill everybody on the field. Now, I don't necessarily need everyone to die on the field, but I mean, like some sort of contagion could come through and make them sick for the rest of the season. That would be fine.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was fun when the playoff seeding was still in doubt, and I was rooting for the Eagles to beat the Cowboys so that the Cowboys would be knocked out of the playoffs.
Right.
Because I hate the Cowboys more than I hate the Eagles.
I'm like, I literally can't help you here. I'm like, I can't help you. Neither one of these is a good choice.
I'm actually an Eagles fan from way back because I love Randall Cunningham.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong, Randall Cunningham's good, but if you're a Giants fan, the most frustrating game every season is the Eagles. It doesn't matter. It's just excruciating. Yeah.
All right, so that's enough football for this episode.
That's enough sports ball. The more important things is that we Buffalo fans, while we did not get what we wanted in terms of getting our team advanced, got the other thing we really wanted, which was the Patriots knocked out.
Also, a lot of fans aren't super angry, like with the Bills season. Like everyone's
happy. I'm very happy with them.
They look like an upcoming good football team.
There's potential. There's still a lot of potential.
What tastes so good is that not only did the Patriots get knocked out, they won a wild card.
Yes,
right?
Not play on wild card.
Because of Fitzpatrick, man.
And they lost at home.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't stack it up sweeter than that.
And they lost to one of the Bill Belichick disciples.
Sure.
Who used to play for
and you lost on a Tom Brady pick six. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't ask for a better stack of things to have happened.
They were already losing that game when it happened.
Yeah,
but
that was just the icing on the cake.
But that's delicious.
And if they had gone on to the championship game and won, that would have been their 4th consecutive appearance in the Super Bowl, which we can't have.
That's true.
Because that's our thing.
No.
That's Buffalo's thing.
Yeah, so
which the
good riddance.
disgruntled Patriots fans are like, oh, so you're being proud of losing 4 straight Super Bowls? No, we're proud of going to 4 straight
Amen.
Super Bowls.
Amen, brother.
The fact that we lost them sucks.
Yeah.
Especially because the
Oh,
Giants.
but
oh,
we
do you
went.
remember? Okay, last sports ball thing.
I
So
tried,
we get
everybody.
we
I
get down
tried.
to the last few seconds of that Bills game, right? And they're lining up for the field goal. And what does the fucking announcer say? There hasn't been a game this close in the postseason since Scott Norwood. And I'm like, you're saying his name as they're lining up for a field goal? What kind of monster are you?
I was actually not super thrilled.
I
with the
wanted to throw a
announcing team.
Molotov cocktail
group,
into
that's
that
the
booth.
Monday Night Football crew, and
Ugh.
they've been together for 2 years now, and I hope they change it next year.
Yeah, I'm not-
because I'm tired of those two gerbils chattering in the
That
box.
I
It
was
was a very. I don't usually say this because I'm not like the giantest homer ever or anything like that. But it was a very pro-Texans broadcast.
oh, it
Everybody
was, so,
was like very pro.
I was like, you invoked the name of Scott Norwood
Yeah.
with a 4-second field goal to tie a game. I'm like, I will burn that booth down.
I mean,
Sorry.
Booger McFarland. First of all, the fact that he goes by the name Booger, which is really a nickname, but he goes by it. That's bad enough. He's very knowledgeable about the sport. He knows football, all right? He used to play. He's good at, he knows it. But he's terrible in the booth, all right?
Which, that happens.
So get somebody else.
All right. Whew, all right.
So I watched all of Jack Ryan season 2.
How was that?
On New Year's Day?
Venezuela, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was okay. It wasn't as good as season 1 in my opinion. I like season 1 a lot more. The assassin storyline was pretty interesting. I liked that part. The Venezuela part was okay.
Rob's commenting a surprising amount of passion from Phil on this topic. It's not that I don't like football. I have to I seriously get worked up over this stuff. I have to take it in small doses, right? And I love postseason football.
Me too. Jack Ryan season 2, not bad. It's a little bit more on the pulpy side, I would say. A little less on the Jack Ryan season 1 felt a little bit more grounded.
Like more thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This felt more like action adventure, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, I like thrillers too, so I would probably be more down with the more thriller. Less filler.
And last thing, I did manage to get out of the house on Sunday evening to play some Savage Everon because I needed to get out of the house. I've been stuck in the house for days and days and days. And the pills that I take are pretty solid, so my knee wasn't in too much pain. So our Savage Everon game, we show up at this little town that is abandoned, like it's supposed to be abandoned. It's called Rose Quarry, and we find there's a bunch of the Emerald Clawers are like cultists and Nazis in a lot of ways, and there's like 50 of them in the town, and we're supposed to be finding information from a Cannith stronghold in the town. And what plan do we come up with? We're not going to sneak into the town and find the information around all the bad guys. I'm like, why don't we go into the Mournland that's like, we can see the gray wall misty wall, get something gigantic, train it back into town and let it kill all the bad guys. Because we were playing Savage Worlds, so you get adventure cards. And I had a card that was called Uh-oh that let me make the monster that I ran into 2 sizes larger than it was. That went real well. It didn't go so well. Jerry did a good job. GM Jerry Manor did a good job DMing that because we were throwing all sorts of weird stuff at him. But he managed to handle it.
Wild, wacky stuff.
It was wild, wacky stuff.
That's pretty awesome.
It was, you know what the worst part about it was for him, I think? It's like, he did not expect us to take that route, so that encounter took us like an hour and a half. And it was way later than he expected. And we were like leaving at 11:30 at night.
It's like, well, guess we're playing this game tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of running. There was a lot of screaming. There was the worst part was there was a bad guy that was like a cleric and could cast fear. And if you cast fear with a raise, the wild card has to roll on the chart. And if you roll a d20, and if you roll over a 20, the thing has a heart attack and dies. And the thing made the carrion crawler crab thing have a heart attack and die.
That's so badass.
This
That's
giant
hilarious.
house-sized crab with corpses all over the back of it.
Just
heart
up
attack
and
died.
dies. It's so funny.
That's all. I'm good.
I love it.
It was pretty Eberron.
I mean, you know, I dig it.
The worst. So the worst part about the encounter was some of the players.
Yeah.
Were looking at what was going on. We're like, we don't know what to do. I'm in the middle of all the bad guys with a giant crab right near me, and they're like, we don't know what to do. I'm like,
I mean,
all right.
Sometimes you got to just, assess the situation, see how it goes.
All right. Well, that's our show. Let's do some Patreon shout-outs. How about that? Oh man, I didn't have the time to put the titles next to everybody. So we're gonna have to try to do this from memory, right?
Oh.
Here we go. We could do this. Craig, the Lord of One Name. Eileen Barnes, the Duchess of Pandas Talking Games.
Yep.
Richard White is the captain of the Royal Airship Fleet.
Yep.
Jared Rasher is the scribe of MMP. Jim's Like Games is the Royal Merchant. Andrew Dacey is the Lord of Whiskey, if I remember correctly.
That's a good title.
Eric Bonce is the Lord of Beefness and the Duke of Weregators? The Duke of Gators. The Duke of Gators, that's what it was. Todd Crapper is the best name in gaming, but that's not his title.
I got this one. Prophet of Probability.
Prophet of Probability.
Yeah.
Schmitty is the Keeper of the Labyrinth.
Yep.
Kevin Lovecraft is the Royal Beard. P.K. Sullivan is the Queen's Royal Rocketeer. John Celine LeMay is the Guard at the End of the World. John Carn is the Court Necromancer. Christopher Gray is the Spy Master of MMP. Michael Dinos is the Marshal of Mark. Jesse Edmond is the Royal Doctor. Brian Kurtz is the Royal Doctor of Physic. Andy Olson is the Duke of Dice. Merrick Blackman is the Royal D&D Reviewer. And Rob Everzato is the Gauntlet of the Queen. Because, Bob, you are...
The Fist of the Queen.
There we go.
It's not awkward.
Nicely done.
Man, that's... I can't...
Yeah,
I remembered them all.
Nicely done. I'm impressed.
That is our Royal Court.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you, Royal Court, for giving us money every month. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you to the sponsors, too, that have been sponsoring the show lately.
Seriously,
That's
thank you
really
very much.
useful.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
And for everybody who's been subscribing to us on the Twitch chat. We've had some subscribers.
That's huge. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
Big deal for us.
And thank you to everyone who's listening.
If you are free Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. the Queen's time. She's not here, but she is thankful. Come join us live on Twitch where you can chat with other listeners in the awesome chat room for life and ask us the occasional question.
You know, if you can't make it to the live show, you should check out our podcast each week wherever you get those podcasts. You can also take a listen to some of the other shows in the Misdirected Mark Network, such as Down with D&D, Bone Stone and Obsidian, Pandas Talking Games, The Gnome Cast, Zhang Yu Hustle, She's a Super Geek, and Bonus Experience. You can and should also check out our sibling podcasts, The Tabletop Bellhop, The Knights of the Night, and The Always Amazing Gaming MBS. And last, you can always check out our AP Twitch streams. On Monday evenings, the FM Gamers, and on Sunday evenings, the BXP Bicons.
Yeah.
Nice. You should always use one of your downtime actions to leave us some feedback. You can reach us directly via email at mmp@misdirectedmark.com. You can check out us on Twitter. There's many ways to find us on Twitter. The show in the network is Misdirected Mark. This guy is Robert M. Everson. That guy is the Light 101, and I am DNA Phil.
The DNA of gaming.
If you like what we do here and on the other shows in the Misdirected Mark Network, you can support our Patreon campaigns. MMP Down with D&D and Pandas Talking Games are at patreon.com/MMP. She's a Super Geek is patreon.com/SassGeek. Zhang Yu Hustle is patreon.com/Zhang Yu Hustle. And Bonus Experience is patreon.com/Bonus Experience. It's funny how that works out. Patrons of MMP Down with D&D and Pandas Talking Games get access to the after show, pre-production show notes, musical parodies, which were overdue for one, and the Pandas Talking Games bonus outtakes, and sometimes other special releases.
Also, the Sneak Attack show from Down with D&D.
I actually have a thought for a print and play release to go out to the patrons.
There you go.
Oh, neat.
Well,
neat.
you should know. You made it.
Oh, yeah, that thing. That thing. I forgot all about that thing. That card game.
Oh, that.
Man, you know, with the circles?
Yeah, that
and the numbers and the
casting
symbols.
coming soon.
The circles and the numbers and the things.
We won't have to do a print and play because we'll do a print on demand.
No, but our patrons will get a print and play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Well, this has been a Misdirected Mark production, which is the media arm of Encoded Designs. Also, thank you for patroning and buying Encoded Designs products. We appreciate it. My drop.
We out.